Anyway, Pisces is also related to substances, like oil. Currently, the price of oil has skyrocketed to around $100 per barrel, unheard of for quite a while. So for sure, Jupiter combust in Pisces is helping this price blow up now. Hello everyone, welcome to Astro Reader PH and thanks for dropping by for some astrology. We start off the week with Venus and Mars moving to Aquarius together, coming from Capricorn. As we've talked about last week, this combination of Venus and Mars activated the powerful Pluto in Capricorn. This has been a volatile, explosive energy. In our daily lives, we could have seen some heavy energy in the past week, especially relating to our life goals, careers, authorities, and duties and responsibilities. We could have had some dark thoughts or feelings about these matters. That's Pluto energy, and against Pluto, it's easy to feel powerless. On the positive side, braving these challenges could have been a hugely transformative experience for us. We could have used this powerful force to make huge changes in our lives, for the better if we chose. This energy is also something which Russia has capitalized on. With the might of Pluto, Russia has gone all out in its invasion, taking major strongholds in Ukraine. Bombs in particular are very Plutonian. Thankfully, we haven't seen any actual use of nuclear warfare, though the threats have indeed been heavy in the past week. Tensions are still high though. Anyway, Putin hasn't been the only one capitalizing on this Pluto energy. Other nations have gone all out in imposing sanctions on Russia as well. Economic sanctions, as Pluto is in an earth sign. The extremeness of these sanctions and Putin's extreme reaction shows the all-or-nothing, all-consuming energy of Pluto. So this week, Venus and Mars say goodbye to Capricorn and Pluto. But before we celebrate, we gotta consider that as Venus and Mars leave Pluto's lair, they enter another. Because in the sign of Aquarius, they're set to meet another powerhouse, Saturn. And if you know astrology, you'll know that's not exactly a cause for celebration. While Pluto can play with your head, Saturn can tire you out. So we can expect to see some challenges in the coming month as Saturn energy dominates. We could have a tad more responsibilities, duties, delays, and difficulties along the way. Karma will also be a big theme this coming month, so we could see more people get what they deserve, positive or negative. Since we're speaking of Aquarius energy, these could be collective experiences involving groups of people, networks, connections, or friendships. This energy will also put alliances to the test, like what we're seeing with NATO. So in the coming days, issues with military alliances like NATO may come up more. We'll probably see some organizations shaken, both in the international stage and in our daily lives. It could be an issue of being pulled into a conflict or problem because of our connections. Saturn favors caution and delay, so it's probably best to take time before choosing a definite side. Aquarius is also related to technology. Some sources say cyber attacks are more likely in the coming days, and astrologically, I think there's support for that. Regarding the Russia-Ukraine conflict, we may see some more cyber warfare occur as well. Currently, some websites are being taken down in certain areas, so we could see more of those happen as well. When it comes to cyber warfare, digital assets become quite vulnerable, like stocks. In Russia now, they seem to know this quite well, so they've decided to simply close the markets. We've also seen bank accounts frozen over this conflict, so it would be wise to secure our digital assets in these uncertain times. Personally, I've made sure I have hard cash on hand these days. Aquarius is also a fixed sign, which indicates slow-moving, sustained energy. This tells me that the Ukraine conflict may enter a new phase of sorts. A number of sharp military analysts have pointed out that the Russian offensive may have been quite misunderstood by the West. The slower, less destructive pace that Russia has taken is being perceived as weakness by Western eyes. But looked at another way, some say this could be indicative of attrition or siege warfare, which is more of the Soviet way of war than the blitzkrieg or concentrated force type used by the West. Basically, Russia could be biding their time, surrounding Ukraine, to wear their supplies down with low-intensity attacks until they surrender. By doing this, Russia may take more time, but they also minimize the cost of rebuilding Ukraine once they, theoretically, take it over. So astrologically, with the emphasis on fixed Aquarius energy and Saturn, we are likely to see this slow-paced warfare happen in the coming weeks. And we may see it both sides of the war, because as Russia wages a war of attrition on Ukraine, they face almost the same kind from the various nations imposing sanctions against them. So this may be a drawn-out conflict, a war of supplies with both sides trying to outlast one another. Unfortunately, the effects of this will trickle down to us ordinary people, which is why I always advise you to make some preparations for economic hurdles up ahead. In the coming 2 years, we may have to get used to some austerity, simpler living. This week, we get a little glimpse of these economic challenges as the moon transits the North Node from March 7 to 8, triggering the nodal axis. So in a small way, we will get to see some of these financial challenges early this week. Perhaps we're a little broke during this time, or we have more expenses than usual, or we have to solve problems regarding our money and possessions. As I mentioned in past videos, the world is slowly developing some fiscal solutions to these economic challenges. We have some challenges in the near future, as Saturn squares the nodes in April, and a solar eclipse occurs in Taurus in May. These energies are quite stressful when it comes to resources. We also have Aries season in April, and Jupiter in Aries in May. And we know Aries is a sign of warfare, so it's possible that these conflicts could contribute to these economic difficulties down the line. And we're seeing the early signs of this now. Just as we predicted last week, as seen in the intro, the price of oil has continued its upward trend. Last week, it was less than $100 per barrel, but right now it's at $115. As mentioned, this is likely related to Jupiter combust in Pisces, as well as other factors. Pisces rules substances like oil, and Jupiter combust has a ballooning effect. I think this trend will only continue as April nears. In fact, this week, we see another planet go combust, Neptune, again in Pisces, in some extraordinary manner. Jupiter and Neptune go combust at the same time towards the end of the week. They are both strong in Pisces, and when they go combust, then the Pisces energy could become quite overwhelming. So once again, we could see an overdrive of illusions, deception, addictions, neglect, laziness, disease, and escapism. But on the positive side, this could also boost our creativity, spirituality, and leisure time. Personally, I've become quite fond of gaming recently. Adding to this energy, Mercury also moves to Pisces on March 10. Unfortunately, that means we have to say goodbye to one of my favorite transits, Mercury in Aquarius. It's been great to have that mental, intuitive boost. It's been great for my astrology too, so my predictions could suffer starting next week. If you have important business, it's probably best to do it on Monday, or until Tuesday if you live in the East. I would avoid March 9 to 10 when Mercury goes void. Anyway, Mercury in Pisces isn't exactly good for mental tasks. So when it comes to business, communications, documents, transportation, and thinking, things could get a little confusing. Details may be overlooked and there could be miscommunications. We could deal with lazy or neglectful people. Fun fact, do you know that Mercury entered Pisces when they shut everything down in March 2020? Let's hope they don't have to do that now. Mercury in Pisces, however, is great for abstract, creative thinking. So if you're an artist of some sort, then this will likely be a good time for your work. Our minds could also rest more during this time, allowing us to meditate and reflect. I must also add that with strong Neptune, we may see huge revelations come out in the near future. Neptune tends to cloud things before enlightening us. So right now we're in a sort of fog of war with everything. Right now, it's hard to say what's really going on. For example, we have conflicting reports as to what's really going on with Ukraine. And by the way, where are we really in the fight against COVID? As I said in my Solar Eclipse in Sagittarius video, these revelations may lead to disillusionment for many, especially as we draw closer to April. So it's quite intriguing to see what kind of things come out in the open. Are you ready? And that's it. Thanks for watching the Astrology of the Week of March 7 to 13 for all signs. Please like and subscribe for more astrology. Thanks. Goodbye.